Hi, everyone. Welcome back to a new episode of Emerging Brands podcast with Kelly Bennett. Today, I have a founder of such a cute, cool, design forward dog accessory lifestyle brand. I personally got a look at the leashes, the harness, the collars, and I have to say, I was geeking out how stunning and gorgeous her products are. Abby Studnicka is here. She is the founder and CEO of Archie and Alfred. Abby, I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honestly very honored to be here.
Oh, same. I'm glad that you're here. I have to say, when I brought the products to my girlfriend's house, she has two dogs, so they were my dog models to try out the product. And her girls were so cute opening up the products. I wish I hit record on them opening the products because they are very fashionable girlies. They're Gen Alpha. They're very cool. And when they were opening it up, they were like, this is the cutest dog collar and leash I've ever seen. And it was so genuine. I didn't even give them the backstory of like why I have
Yeah.
this product or where I got it from, but they were the functionality of like the little cute poop bag and they were so excited about it. So I have to tell you, you have two super fans, Jill and Lexi, and yeah, they just love your design.
Honestly, every time I hear that, I can't help but just explode with happiness because when you spend so long designing a product, you want people to love it, but
Right.
it's also like you can't please everyone.
Totally. Well, you
And
have two
so then
fans. They're
I
huge
love it.
fans and they loved it. So I would love to hear your background. What did your career look like prior to this? And then starting your own dog lifestyle brand. Like, walk me through it.
Okay, so let's take it back to college. When I graduated college, I went to school for marketing. And I truly didn't know what I wanted to do, but at the same time, I was doing photography and I was doing a lot of my friends graduation photos and when their family would come in town, family photos. So instead of going to the traditional route of getting a full-time job, I actually did photography full time and then did some freelance marketing and I was really into social media. This was also this is pre-TikTok. So I really, really, really wanted to be a YouTuber, and make YouTube videos, and I just loved watching YouTube. I'm a YouTube kid. And so while I was doing photography and that was, paying my bills and I got to be creative, I started also doing YouTube videos. And it's honestly a wild ride on YouTube, but once you get monetized, it's really the analytics and the numbers, and I just geeked out over all of it. But what really took off was videos of my dogs. So that's kind
Oh,
of the start of this whole brand. But yeah, way back when I was in photography and doing freelance marketing and just kind of spent a lot of time doing research on brands and products and trying to work for different brands and products. I really wanted to be in the product industry. I was kind of doing a lot. I don't know if anyone else can relate to that, but when you kind of
oh,
have a
right
creative
here.
mindset, yeah, you do a little bit of everything.
Yes.
And eventually one thing will stick or maybe multiple things, but that's where I originally started.
That's awesome. And so you were getting some traction, it sounds like, on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
And what were the videos of your dogs? What were your dogs doing?
So it's so funny. I originally thought the channel would be about me, so I was doing was traveling a lot, so I was doing some travel videos, some clothing hauls. I don't know, very lifestyle casual, nothing crazy. And then I got my first dog, Archie, my dream dog. And at first I was like, I'm not gonna make videos and post photos of my dog. And then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make one because I had all this cute footage. And I don't even remember what I titled it, but it was the one video that just blew up. And I was like, okay,
Wow.
he's a cute dog, but also just people love watching dogs. And I didn't think I just thought this would be a good memory for me, it's a big moment in my life. But I didn't think people would sit down and watch videos of dogs on YouTube. I was wrong because then those were the only videos that would get any views. And so I had a lot of fun with it. I would do Amazon hauls and buy all these really fun things on Amazon and test them out for my dog. They'd all be dog products. I would test out dog costumes. I did a whole video on like trying different like dog foods because my dog has very, very sensitive stomach. And I kind of slowly became a like dog influencer, but not how you see today because those are like TikTok and there's a ton, not that it's bad, but there's a lot of them out there now. Where back then in YouTube, it was like not that many.
Okay.
And so I feel like a lot of people, like I did a lot of like personal messages and they would ask me questions like, my dog has this weird walking situation, like what product would you recommend? Or my dog can't eat this food, like what food would you recommend? So like people like turn to me as like this like trusted dog source, which is so funny because like I grew up with dogs and I'm a huge dog person, but I never saw that coming. And then the only thing I couldn't recommend was a dog accessory line. So a dog leash, a dog harness. I searched everywhere for like the perfect one. I wanted it to be adjustable, but also cute and comfortable. And my dog had really bad anxiety. So there were certain things that were on these products that he hated. And so I couldn't even buy them, couldn't use them. And so then randomly one day, that's like where this whole thing came from. I like wrote down everything that I wanted in these products while I was on a walk. This was like, COVID times. I'd gotten my second dog at this point. So I'd been doing YouTube for um probably like 3 or so years. And then we got our second dog and I've documented that whole process too. It's really like a special moment. And then when we were I don't know. One day I walked and I wrote down everything and I came home like, I'm gonna start a dog brand. And
So
so
cool.
I did. And it's so funny because I truly designed it off of like what people messaged me about, but also like what my dog's needs were. And so it's this unique combination of like feedback that I got from my subscribers at the time and also the needs of my dogs, which I think has like worked out really great because there's always features in the products that people like rave about that they didn't realize they needed.
Right. And you're able to show data and social proof that there's
Yeah.
demand for these products, leveraging your content and community, and also saying, well, I've reviewed X amount of brands and X amount of products, and I still haven't found anything. That's why I'm creating this brand. That's a really compelling story just in itself, of
Yeah.
even the
And it's
incubation of the brand.
Yeah, and it sounds so funny because I feel like a traditional brand story, especially working in marketing, is always I couldn't find something I liked, so I made it. But like it just truly is that. And I have that documented through this process on there
Right.
for time and time. Like, and so it is funny. It is really truly the story. And I spent 2 years designing the product, so it wasn't just like overnight. I just found, somebody who made a similar product and I slapped my logo on it. It was like I spent months and months and months designing and tweaking and testing and like it was a really long process that I never expected to go through, but I'm very, very, very happy I did because I think I have such a great product from that.
Absolutely. And so what did that first early steps look like of starting to develop the line and then actually getting it into the hands of consumers? Like, could you give us the overview of what that
Yeah.
looked like?
So I had no idea where to start, which I'm sure other people have been in this situation too.
Right.
And I Google search a million different variations of what you're trying to find, and eventually you'll find it. For me, I'd found out that since I wanted my own designs, I needed an industrial designer. And I needed somebody who had experience with dog products. And I also needed someone who had experience with the types of materials I wanted to use. So it took a lot of research, and I ended up finding an awesome company to do that, which I'm just going to like put that out there. It is also very expensive to design a product from scratch. So
Right.
an industrial designer, they're very, very talented, so they do cost money. And so then from there, we went to production, which at this point, it had been a year and a half of like the design and testing and like samples. Um, and so it's a process to get from, 0 to like point 0.5
Right. Right.
before you even launch.
I literally just had that conversation with another founder prior to recording, and we were saying it's like that in between of when you're working, 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 and then it's like, okay, it's here, and then you have to do a lot more to actually have the sales coming in.
Yeah.
I just had that conversation.
Yeah, and no one's
Uh,
there to, like, pat you on the back and be like,
yeah,
"Oh,
you're
you've
just
done
kind of
so
like
much work."
staring.
Yeah, you're just, like,
Totally.
in the room alone, you're like, "Okay, I completed a lot, but nobody's here to praise me."
Right, right, right. No, I feel that a lot, but you know what? You're here and you're
Yeah.
sharing, and I'm sure that someone listening to this, you just help them be like, "Okay, I'm not alone in this. Like, this is
No.
part of the story and part of the journey."
You're not alone at all. And like I definitely think at points I'd be like, I'm never going to find the person or the manufacturer or whatever I'm looking for, but like just take a step back and maybe try rewording what you were looking for and just try a different approach. I know it's annoying, but like it took me a while to find the perfect design, industrial designer, the perfect manufacturer, like all these different teams that you have to bring on, like, it's not that easy and it's not gonna happen overnight, but, like, it'll happen.
I love that, Abby. So once you had the design, you found the right manufacturer, what did that process then look like of bringing it to market?
Yeah, so it's so funny, you think you're gonna go to market and and backstory, I'm a one-woman show here, still
Love
am.
that. Love
So,
it.
you think you're gonna go to market and you're just gonna pop off and everyone's gonna be raving about it and you're gonna get all these followers, and, like, it's funny because I think before I was ever in this space, it's because you see these, like, overnight successes, which are actually, like, 10 years in the making.
Right.
And so I was like, "I'm gonna launch this and everyone's gonna buy it, and it's gonna be so great." And then, I did photo shoots. At the time, video wasn't, like, that big quite yet. It was, like, kinda starting to be big, but maybe not so much for, like, brands and product-based stuff. So this was back in the end of 2022. So, I did a little bit of video, a lot of photo shoots. Shout out to all my friends who helped with everything. And then I just launched on social. I built the entire website. And then I launched on social and just kind of like didn't really have a structured plan, to be honest. I think the hardest part, which is crazy because I have so much experience in marketing, and also, I guess to throw this out there, I also had a full-time job in marketing at the same time. And so it was very crazy that I didn't have as structured of a plan. But truly, when you're one person, it is really hard to do the back end work and then also have this huge production of a launch. So don't think
Right.
you need this huge launch like these big brands do, like these very glamorous brands. Like at one point, they were you. So just like, don't think you need all that because I did. And I mean, I still had a very successful launch, but it wasn't like I sold out overnight.
Were you
So
able to leverage your YouTube channel?
yeah, so it's very interesting. By the time I had gotten to this point, I kind of like drifted from YouTube a little bit, mostly
Okay.
because at this point I had my full-time job. I had gotten engaged. We were moving across the country.
You had a
I
few
was
things going on.
yeah, I was working on this business and I kind of let that fall to the back burner, which to this day gets me. I like always want to bring it back and then I'm just so busy. But it is my goal to bring back eventually, but I kind of let it fall and I did do a little bit on there, but it's one of those things where like if you're not consistent and you're not giving to those people, like why they don't owe you anything, like they're not
Right.
gonna stick around if you're not going to show up for them. So totally on me, but, I'm
But
sure
you
I
were
saw
able
a
to
little
show
bit.
the social proof and come up with the
Yeah,
concept.
yeah,
Now, with social, are you finding that that's a good way of people are finding you, say, on Instagram or TikTok or maybe on YouTube a little bit, but is that what's helping people
yeah.
find you right now?
I do all organic marketing. I don't have a budget for paid, um, and I would say probably 80% comes from social and the rest is, like, word of mouth or, like, me going out and talking to people, but a lot of it comes from social, or maybe people refer on social, like, I can't really see that part of it, but
Right.
Um, yeah, social is huge. It is so important. And I think, again, it's hard when you're doing everything for the brand, but it is so important to um, be active on social and not only like be active, but have a strategy. For a while, I didn't really have a strategy. And I think that's the biggest thing is do a lot of research on a social media strategy and test a few things, and whatever works and sticks and you can be consistent with, run with that.
Yes.
And keep doing
Yes.
it. Repeat your messaging over and over and over, even if to you it sounds repetitive. People don't watch every video of yours. So keep repeating it, maybe change a few words. You can go to mine if you want inspo and recreate my videos. Like, I don't care. But that's really all it is. It's just finding a strategy that like works for you and how to talk to your audience.
That's a great point because there's, of course, best practices, but at the same time, you have to find what works for you as the founder, your
Oh,
own product, your own community. What's the rhythm of that particular niche, right? And really finding your own system with it. It's not a one
absolutely.
size fits all. Have you found that people really resonate with the brand that makes them say, "Oh my gosh, this is so cute. I need to get this."
That's a great question. I don't know if I have like one thing, but I would say I always show the product in the videos, and I don't always show the product on my dogs, although people do love that too, but I don't always
Right.
do that. I'm more like will hold up the product and like talk about it. And the product has like an engaging front piece where it's kind of like, what is that? You
Right.
know? Or like interacting with the product. Like if I'm holding the dog leash, I'm always pulling the poop bags out. People are like, whoa. So it's like having you're talking about the product, but also interacting with it in like a unique way. And I think people like watching that, you know?
Absolutely. And again, one of the things that the girls were saying, like, this is so cute, was the little poop bag
Yeah.
that it was attached and it looked cute because let's be honest, poop bags don't usually look cute. You would never
Oh.
really put those words together, but yours
Yeah.
look really cute and it makes sense. It's not another thing that you need to think about. It's already on the leash, it's on the harness. And so that was and the colors.
Hmm.
The girls really love I got the sage green and they were like, "Oh my gosh, it's my favorite color." So I think that also makes your product stand
So
out too.
I launched with the green only. My
Oh,
biggest thing
interesting.
was because I couldn't afford to buy other colors. And I wanted something where it's gender neutral. So
Right.
whether your like dog, whatever gender your dog is, or you're going to feel confident and comfortable walking your dog in that. Um, and it made sense for me because then I can, talk to anybody and everybody
Right.
versus only being able to afford one color and I can only talk to like one audience for the most part.
That
Um,
makes sense.
so yeah, but like it's also like the color that I originally drew the designs in and like it comes full circle. My goal when I was like going through this, I'm like, oh man, I'm at 5 colors. I'm gonna have all these things. And then when you get to your manufacturer and they're like, oh, it's your minimum orders are so big and it's gonna cost this. I was like, whoa, I can't afford that. So that's
So
where I
one
started
color it is.
one color. And people would always message me like, when are you getting more colors? I'm like, listen, I'm working on it, but it's expensive. And it's hard to tell your audience that it's expensive because like they don't really think about that. And you don't really want them to. But
Right.
a lot of people, like if you're open and honest with your followers and like in a one-on-one conversation, like a lot of them DM me, like they all get it and they're very nice about it. And like you build a community that way just by like responding to people and being open and honest instead of giving like a generic like, response to everyone.
I think that's such a great point. Is there any other piece of advice you would share with a founder who's in like the really early stages? Maybe they're currently Googling, you know, industrial design or manufacturing. Any tidbit that you'd be like, I wish I had have thought of this sooner, or something I would share with a friend.
Yeah, so I think I could give a million little pieces of advice, but I think for me in that moment was I kept thinking about this big picture of like, wow, I'm gonna launch and then I'm gonna get into Petco and all these big pictures, but that wasn't very productive for me. It was I needed to sit down and write down what do I need to get to the next just step in this week and then the step after that. So I don't need to keep thinking about all these like fantasies. It wasn't helpful for me at least. So just focus on like what you have to do for this week to get to that next step, whether it's emailing one more person about a manufacturer or one more person about a different design. And I just had to kind of take a step back because social media can really glamorize everything. And it made it like kind of it tore me down a little bit. And I don't want that to happen to someone else. And like it's gonna happen, but just remember that like you have to take it step by step and eventually you'll get there. But don't let it get to you that like you're not moving at a faster pace than you want to be.
That is such a great piece of advice and something that I have to remind myself often as well, right? Because
I
I'm
still do.
working on so many different brands at the same time, but overall, I'm like, I just want everything to move bigger and faster, for my clients and for myself, but it does take time.
Yeah.
And I totally agree. Sometimes you get in a weird rabbit hole on social that you're like, everyone's exploding right now. Why aren't I? Or this should be moving faster, but it does not help. So I like your advice of like being practical. What do you have to do in the now? What do you have to do to take that next step? And really focusing on building those stepping stones for the bigger opportunities to even
Yeah.
able to come through for your brand.
And remember that there's so much abundance in this world. Like, I have a lot of friends that now are in the dog world that have dog leashes and harnesses, and I'm sure we're competitors, but like there's so many dogs out there.
Right.
So like, we're not, competitors in a mean way. We collaborate and support each other. So just know that like you see people being really successful and moving forward, but that doesn't mean that there isn't time for you to then step into that space.
Absolutely. I could talk to you for hours, but I know I have to let you go.
So yeah.
The last piece of, or the last question, the most important is where can we shop your products?
Okay, so I would say the best spot is I am on Amazon, so you
Okay,
could
cool.
search Archie and Alfred dog leash or Archie and Alfred harness or whatever on Amazon. But I also have a website, so it's archieandalfred.com. That's all spelt out. And I'm also on TikTok Shop. Um, but yeah, I would say those are like the three main places. I try to show up everywhere for, places to buy, but those are the top three that I get
That's a
from.
solid start, and I've
Yeah,
been doing research on Amazon for a client, and that's a beast in itself, so congrats on being there.
absolutely. I guess that'd be my other advice is don't sell your Amazon product. Keep it in-house because you'll lose control over it.
That is a solid piece of advice. Thank you. And I look forward to doing maybe like a part two after you've been doing
Absolutely.
this, even if next stage of scaling, because
Yeah.
I love your take and I love how you've been building. And I'm really excited to see the progression and also have these conversations with you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you bringing me on.
Of course. Thank you everyone for listening. I will put all the links to the cutest dog leashes and accessories on the show notes. And thank you again, Abby, for being here. And I'll see you all on the next episode.